Good evening, this is BelGeode and we are back with some more AeroFly FS2. Welcome to 2018. This is my first video for the new year. And tonight I figured we would do something a little bit different. So, we are on a completely different continent. We are in Europe. More precisely, we are in Zurich, Switzerland. And today we're going to be flying from Zurich to Geneva. And we're going to be using our chariot for the day, which is the Learjet 45. Now, longtime users of the ESP platforms, most notably FSX and FS 2004, should remember the Learjet as one of the default aircraft that comes with that flight sim. Well, I really didn't fly it too much in FSX, however, I kind of like how it looks here in AeroFly FS2, so I wanted to give it a shot tonight and use it for our little journey. So, I don't want to lollygag too much here, I just want to make sure that everything is pretty much set to go, and then we will make our way to the runway and head on our way. Alright, so the first thing that I want to check here are going to be our lights. We've got our switches in the center panel here. So we're going to want our smoking or no smoking and seatbelt sign up, and our landing lights, we'll set them to taxi. And above that we've got the beacon and strobe, which is currently set to beacon, which is exactly where it should be for right now. Now, as is typical for the aircraft of AeroFly FS2, not everything is modeled. However, everything looks really pretty. So for example, we've got the FMC down here. Doesn't do anything, but it looks really awesome. However, some of the other items do work. For example, our autopilot up the top here, and of course all the various glass displays that we have going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything set up real quick. Let's see, right now I've got our altitude set to 4,000. Our cruise for this hop is going to be about 20,000 feet. So let me go ahead and scroll us up here. And I'll have to remember to turn our landing lights off at 10,000 feet. It's been a while since I've been in anything bigger than either a GA or a military aircraft. So I'm hoping that I remember my procedures there. Alright, but there we have it, 20,000. Let's see, I'm going to want to have these knobs switch to FMS. There we go. We'll do the ones on a co-pilot side as well, just so everything matches up. And I'm going to want to push this little FMS button here. There we go. So our primary flight display is set to FMS, so when we engage the nav on our autopilot after we take off, we should be tracking exactly where we need to go. Now you may notice on this screen I've got my IPACS, so it's got like our flap settings and all the other flight controls as well as our engine instruments. Speaking of which, let's get our flaps down one notch. There we go, we're set to 8, which is where we should be. And you'll notice I have the map on this side, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this button right here, and that'll swap the two screens, because I'd rather have our map here so that way I can keep track of where we're going. Alright, I think everything else is pretty much set except for our spoilers. I do need to arm those, so we'll put that down one notch and that should be set. And I'm not even going to worry about the trim because honestly folks, this thing takes off like a rocket ship, so I really do not think we will have any problems at all getting out of Zurich. Now we will need to go to runway 34, so I'm going to be taxiing down that way and then hanging a right and then making a U-ey, and eventually we'll make it to the runway. So without further ado, let's get our brakes off and we'll push out. Okay, so we're going to need to make a right turn here. Now, to be honest with you folks, I have not been in AeroFly FS2 since the last time that you saw me in AeroFly FS2. I've actually been doing some X-Plane and some DCS, which I'm sure if you're a regular viewer of the channel, you probably already know this. You will have seen those episodes already. But the last time that you saw me here in AeroFly FS2, I was showing off a scenery designed by Dr. Hotwing 1. Now, I mention that because in that episode, I actually made what I consider to be a grievous error. I had stated that Dr. Hotwing 1 was only the moderator for the IPACS forums. That is incorrect. He is actually one of the major developers for AeroFly FS2. It just so happens that he also moderates the forums along with the other developers. So yeah, as far as their United States presence, that's Dr. Hotwing 1. He's the guy that you go to if you have any questions or issues or want to learn more about how to create scenery and aircraft for AeroFly FS2. He's the one who puts all that stuff together. So I apologize to Dr. Hotwing 1 for underplaying your role with the company, but I do want to make sure that everyone understands he is one of the major players that you're going to want to get in touch with if you're on the forums. And definitely a cool guy all around. So there you go. Alright, but now that we have that out of the way, let's take a quick look at Zurich here. We're going to need to make a right. Look at those beautiful static aircraft. I will remind you, since this is AeroFly FS2, there is no AI traffic. There's just these beautiful static aircraft, and they really do look good along with this terminal. I will say they are excellent when it comes to 3D modeling and so on. So I will always tip my hat to IPACS for coming up with stuff like this, because it just looks totally real, especially inside of the Oculus Rift, or if you happen to have the HTC Vive. Okay, so we are taxiing towards the runway, which is off to our right there. So as soon as we go past what appears to be a British Airways, aka Speedbird, we're going to be making our right. So what I'll do is I'll go outside for now, and we'll show you a quick view from the outside. So there you can see the Speedbird, and look, there's even a Ryanair there. I gotta admit, I don't know too much about Ryanair. About the only thing I know about them is apparently people seem to like to complain about that airline a lot. Not quite sure what the story is behind that, but I'm sure I'll find out at some point in time. Alright, but here is our hold short. So now that we're here, let's make sure everything else is set up before we line up on this runway and take off. So we'll go back down to the lights, landing lights. We need you on. Beacon strobe, we'll turn you on. And I think that should do it for the lights. Everything else looks like it's in position. Spoilers arm, flaps down 1. And I should probably set our vertical speed so that way we don't go up like a rocket ship. Let's see, I'm thinking we do want a sprightly ascent, so about 2,000 feet per minute should do it. Remember, we're going up to about 20,000, so that way we can clear the Alps. If we're lucky, our flight path should take us just past the mountain range, so we should be able to see it off to our left side if my calculations are correct here. Alright, I think I've got everything set for now, so we'll go ahead and line up on runway 34 and get ready to take off. Brakes off. And give her a little bit of juice. Really got to remember to stay on this center line. Folks, I am so bad about that. I try. I really try to stay on the center line, but for the life of me, it eludes me no matter what I'm flying. I guess that's probably why I prefer to fly helicopters. That way I don't have to worry about the center line. Okay. Now, I don't remember exactly how long this runway is, but I do know that it's got quite the lead up before we get to the threshold. Now, more than likely, I'm not going to go all the way down there. I'm just going to go a little bit further, like about right here. And we'll put our parking brakes back on. there we go. Okay, so final checks. We need to make sure our yaw damper is on. I will hold off on the nav for now until we're airborne. And I think everything else is pretty much ready. We have our V-speed, so V1 will be 112 knots, VR 118, and V2 127. And then we're going to climb out probably around 160-ish or 170-ish. I don't know, we'll see how it works here. Okay, but one thing that this aircraft does come with is the nifty little, as I call it, BelGeode takeoff and landing cam. So, that's the view that we're going to go to as we go brakes down, throttles up. Alright, so that was a pretty good takeoff, and we are closing in on 4,000 feet, so at this point in time I will turn on our autopilot and we'll get the FMS going. There we go, so everything should stabilize itself momentarily. I think I went a little bit off course, but that's okay because that will give us the opportunity to check out this beautiful Swiss scenery. That is looking pretty cool. I'm thinking we should be able to make it to Geneva before sunset. It's probably going to be like about a half-hour flight, if that much. It's really not that far off. But I do need to watch our speed because, like I said, this thing does like to go. So right now we're at about 217, so I'm going to slow it down a little bit here as far as our throttle setting. We're at about 63 or 64% throttle. And that should hold us right there at that angle. So eventually we are going to swing out to the left. We're about 2.5 miles away from our turnaround here. And then we'll get on our way. Now folks, it's not that often that I get to complain about something. However, I do want to voice an opinion on what I'm seeing right here. Now, you saw what it looked like when we took off. We're not that far from Zurich Airport, and you'll notice there is a distinct line between the high-quality scenery and this. What happened here, IPACS? You've got areas where it looks absolutely phenomenal, and then you've got areas that are so pixelated that I just don't even know what to say. I'm hoping that at some point in time this area will get a little bit more love and will actually allow for it to be fixed, shall we say. Because right now what I'm seeing, it's a little underwhelming. I don't mind saying that. But don't get me wrong, those areas there, and I'm pretty sure the rest of the area that we're going to be flying through, looks pretty sweet. It's just, I can't quite wrap my head around what happened when they were developing this area. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about it because we are just over 10,000 feet, so we need to kill those landing lights. There we go, landing lights are off, and now we can increase our speed as well. Now, unfortunately, I don't know what the speed restrictions and altitude restrictions are here in Europe. I can only go by what I know America does, which is at 10,000 feet, you're supposed to be below 250 knots. So you'll notice that our speed is coming up nicely now, and we should be taking it up to a cruise speed of about 300 knots by the time we get up to 20,000 feet. And I think that should be just fine for us. Alright, so say goodbye to Zurich again, folks. And in a few moments, we will be at our cruise altitude and closing in on the beautiful Swiss Alps. Now, it is also my understanding that Orbix is working on some areas around Europe as well. We already know that they've done Innsbruck for AeroFly FS2. I haven't yet gotten it, which is why you haven't seen it, but I do plan on getting it at some point in time. Just between you and I, however, I will probably end up purchasing either Chicago, Meigs, or Monterey before I think about getting Innsbruck, because honestly, I don't really fly in Europe a lot, so I don't really see the justification for getting it just yet, other than to show it off for you beautiful viewers. So I will do that at some point in time, and when I do, you will definitely know about it. But I have heard that Orbix has been working on places such as the entire country of the Netherlands and so on. I'm not sure if they're planning on bringing their Germany and some of the other things that they've been working on to Aerofly. I would imagine at some point in time they will, because John from Orbix really does love Aerofly FS2, and I can't blame him. It's kind of like a match made in heaven between Orbix and Aerofly. It really blows the pants out of everything else out there, including X-Plane, which I have heard that Orbix has finally decided they are going to do some work with laminar research in X-Plane. So you can expect more information on that as it becomes available to me. Alright, let's do some navigation here. So we are closing in on our VOR, Whiskey India Lima, and we're about 5 nautical miles. We're just over 300, so I'm going to pull our throttle back a bit, see if I can keep us right around 300 knots, and that'll be our cruise speed for this little flight. Everything else is looking good. The engine's purring like a kitten, both of them. Alright, that all looks fine. As far as weather goes, we're stable at 29.902. Of course, we're beyond our transition altitude, so we would have set it for 29.902 anyway. No word as to whether or not we're getting weather in Aerofly FS2. And actually, come to think of it, I really haven't heard anything about their game plan for 2018. I'm hoping that will come at some point in time in the very near future, and as always, once I get the information, I will be more than happy to share it with all of you. Alright, so where are we headed now? Next waypoint is Foxtrot Romeo India, and we are about 35 nautical miles away. Awesome. So yeah, this should be a short hop. Okay, so let's go back outside and we'll take a look at these gorgeous Swiss Alps, and then we'll come inside and I'll show you what we have here in the cabin. So stay tuned. We will be right back. Yeah, I gotta say, as far as the scenery goes, yeah, this looks like what I would expect the Swiss Alps to look like. Bear in mind, I've never been to Europe, let alone Switzerland in real life, so this is basically all I've got to go on to tell me what it would actually be like. And I have to say, I'm pretty impressed. I am really impressed with everything that I'm seeing here. Still waiting to get a helicopter here in AeroFly FS2 so I can get up close and personal with the scenery. As soon as that comes, I guarantee you I will be all over that. Alright, let's see. 21 nautical miles to go till the next waypoint. So let's take a quick look around the cabin and I'll show that off. So let's start with the co-pilot seat. Okay, so we are in the co-pilot seat, and as you can see, I've got my autopilot Otto. He is currently flying for me. And here we've got a beautiful view of the outside world. Really does look majestic. I can't wait until they've got larger areas of this continent done. I think it's going to look really fantastic, especially places like Italy, Austria, and of course, going further north, Germany and Scandinavia, France, England, you know, the entire United Kingdom, actually, all the British Isles. So yeah, I'm sure that'll be awesome. Alright, but let's hop in the back and see what it feels like back there. Okay, so we are in the back. I gotta admit, I love views like this, and I'm really glad that they took the time to flesh out these views, because this really gives you an idea just how fancy it is inside a real Learjet. This is pretty much what it looks like, with your teak wood and your leather and all of that good jazz there. Really awesome. Oh, and hey, I'm on the wing. That is nice. Oh, what is going on with these reflections, though? That's a little odd. It almost looks like the interior glass is reflecting the ground below plus the clouds, and it's doing everything sideways. Okay, IPACS, something's up with that. What is the story behind that? That's not right. That's not right at all. I wonder if the other side is like that as well. It looks like it might be. Let's hop over there and find out. Yep, sure enough, we still have reflections on this side. The Alps look gorgeous out there, but yeah, IPACS, I'm thinking there's something wrong with these reflections on the interior glass, so that's an area of opportunity. I'm sure they'll address that in due course. Yeah, it does look and feel a little bit odd. Okay, but regardless, I do like what this looks and feels like, especially inside a virtual reality headset. That's pretty neat. That is pretty neat. It's actually better than when I showed off the King Air at one time. Okay, so let's head back to the cockpit, because it looks like we just hit our waypoint, and that means our top of descent is going to be coming up relatively soon. Okay, so I think I am seeing Lake Geneva out there. So on the far side of that lake is going to be our airport. Let's see, we've got about 34 nautical miles to go, approximately about 70, I would say about 77 or 78 nautical miles until we are actually at Geneva. So I'm thinking we will take it down maybe another 20 miles before we start our top of descent. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna do a little bit of legwork here and bring us down. So let's see, if I set that up for about 5,000 feet, we should be good to go. There we go. Alright, 5,000. So when we're ready to come down, I will simply change our VS, and that will bring us back down. Man, look at those mountains. Wow, that is really, really nice. I like that. I like that a lot. And I think the afternoon light really helps to bring it out as well, too, so Very good. As usual, Aerofly FS2 does not disappoint. Okay, let's see what our distance is. I'm going to bring it down to about 20 nautical miles before Sierra Papa Romeo, and then we'll start coming down. I'm thinking if we set a vertical speed of about 2,000 feet per minute, that would be in the negative. We should be able to bring it down by the time we are starting our downwind leg. Okay, so 22 nautical miles to go. Here's the beginning of the lake. Alright, I am going to start throttling us back. I don't want to have to use the speed brakes in our descent here, so that's why I'm pulling the throttles back from now, and then I will hit the VS and start getting us down. So what did we want? 2,000 feet per minute. Very nice. It's just after 6 o'clock, 6:08 to be precise. Can't really see the airport from here, but trust me, it's on the far side of that lake. I'm going to pull our throttle down to idle here so that way we can get below 250. There's two reasons as to why I'm doing that. One, of course, is the speed restriction below 10,000 feet, but the second has to do with our flaps. You will notice, I'm trying to move my head over so that you can see it, on the left side of the flap lever, we've got certain numbers, 250, 200, and 150. Those are our flap limitation speeds. So for the first notch of flaps, we're going to need to be below 250, which we're almost there right now. Alright, so about 14 miles to go. Once we make this turn, we will basically be starting our downwind leg into Geneva. And there's the beautiful lake. Unfortunately, Aerofly FS2 does not currently have any other seasons available. Kind of makes sense since they're using orthophoto for their terrain. But if they ever get to the point where they can give us seasons, I think this would be phenomenal coming in the wintertime. I can only imagine how pretty the Alps would look then. Alright, what are we looking at here? 243 and just below 17,000. Okay, doing good. So let's hop outside for a second here as we bring this aircraft down. Alright, so we are about 4 miles away from the next waypoint. We're going to be swinging out to the left a little bit here. We are below 250, so I'm going to drop flaps 1. That should also help us with our descent. Now I'm thinking our approach or our pattern altitude should be around 5,000. It might be a little bit lower than that, but I'll be honest with you folks, I'm not that familiar with Switzerland or the approaches into any of these airports. I do notice, however, seems to be a little bit of a discrepancy there on the lake. It looks like portions of it are high quality and the remaining portion, including the land over there, is not. So yeah, that seems to be a thing with this scenery where not everything is as high quality as I would have expected. Under normal circumstances, I really wouldn't worry too much about it. However, this is one of their payware sceneries, so compare that to what I've shown you so far with all of their freeware sceneries. kind of makes you wonder what happened, huh? But anyway, I'm sure that is something that IPACS will address in due course, so we'll just wait for that to happen. And I don't think it should be an issue at all. Okay, closing in on 11,000. When we reach 10,000, I will put our landing lights back on. And aside from the low resolution areas there, I do have to say that I am kind of liking this scenery. Oh, and look at that. There's our airport directly ahead. You can now see it on the far side of the lake. Okay, 10,000. We'll hit the landing lights. There we go. And as a matter of fact, let's take a closer look at the airport from the outside. Okay, closing in on 8,000, and we are stable at about 230 knots. Still don't need to put the speed brakes out, so we're good to go at this angle here. We're only bringing it down to about 5,000, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe what I should do is bring us down to 4,000. So let me change that real quick. There we go. And there is Geneva, folks. That is going to be our final destination for this evening. So yeah, just a little puddle jump here, even though there's not that many puddles around. Got another commanding view of the Alps over there behind those clouds. Really looking good. I'm telling you, that's what I love about this flight sim. And I will still say that currently this flight sim still holds the title as far as best VR experience, in my opinion. But don't get me wrong, I'm sure by now you've seen X-Plane 11 native VR. That's looking pretty sweet. So IPACS, not to push any competition on you, but yeah, you got a new kid on the block that is vying for that title. Even though X-Plane still has a little ways to go before their native VR is ready for prime time, I would say that if they're able to achieve the same kind of clarity and quality as I'm seeing naturally here in AeroFly FS2, it could very well be a force to reckon with. But for now, the title still belongs firmly with AeroFly FS2. So there you go, guys. Kudos to you. Alright, there's our airport, so we're now officially on downwind. We should be shallowing out at 4,000 any moment here. And of course, we're going to lose a lot of airspeed. I'm going to see if I can bring it down below 200 knots, and then I will put down the next notch of flaps just before we begin our base leg. I'm glad the sun is in that direction and not in the direction where I need to land, otherwise that could be a problem. Okay, stable at 4,000 feet. We are doing good. Any minute now we should be hearing from Ralph, our radar altitude guy. And I'm going to bring our throttle back up now that we are below 200. Let's drop the flaps too. And I'm thinking about throttles to 40% should hold us in place. We're at about 176 knots, so looking nice. I should also make sure that the BelGeode cam is ready to go, so let's do a quick change. Oh, there's Ralph. Hi, Ralph. Alright, so here we have another pixelated area. Wow, that's a bit more prevalent than I thought it would be. Huh. Alright, well, you know what? I'm not going to worry about it because we really need to concentrate on our approach and landing. So, we're going to work on that. Luckily, we've got a lot of real estate here for this turnaround. Very huge valley area, so this is nice. I'm okay with that. We've got about 4 miles before we make this right-hand turn. And once we come through base leg, I'll see if I can drop us below 150, so that way we can get ready for the last notch of flaps. We do have thrust reversers on this, so I will be utilizing those once we land. I did remember to arm the spoilers, right? Yes, I did. Okay, we're good. We're good. I'm going to power us back a little bit here as we get ready to do this turn. Matter of fact, let's do our base leg turn from outside. Okay, we're closing in on base leg. We are below 150, so I'm going to drop the flaps one more notch. There we go, and now you can see how much speed we've got to work with, between 150 and just shy of 100, which is going to be our stall speed. But there's Geneva Airport. So we will go the extra 3 miles and then we'll come in. Once we're lined up on final, I will, of course, drop our gear. Now, it does seem like this ILS approach is telling us we are a little bit too high. We're over the glide slope right now. I'm going to pull us back a bit here, try to keep it around 120 knots as we make our way in. So fasten your seatbelts, folks. We are coming into land. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to the BelGeode landing cam as I line us up. Okay, we are just about lined up, but we're a little too high, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the autopilot and bring her in manually, since I love to do that. Alright, we are lined up properly, so I'm going to drop our speed and our altitude a bit. Yeah, we're still way over glide slope, so let's see if we can bring ourselves down somewhat. Throttle back. Trim us down just a touch. There's Ralph again. And here we go. We are now on glide slope. Alright. Very nice. So the plan is this. We will hold glide slope. Bring her in. When we get below 100 feet off the deck, I'll go back to the outside view, the BelGeode landing cam, and we'll take it from there. Alright, we're a little under glide slope, so let me give us some power here. There we go, we're lining up nicely. Look at that. Okay, one last check, make sure everything's good. Lights are on, flaps are down full, speed brakes are armed. Got my finger on the thrust reverser button for when we need it. Just make sure we're tracking that center line here. I don't recall setting any wind in this. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to crab a little to the right. Because it does look like we're not 100% lined up. ND says we're a little to the right, but I don't know if I trust that. Might as well be flying VFR anyway. Ah, look at that. That is sweet. Okay. Alright, let's bring her in. Quick look outside, see how we're doing.
1,000.
Okay, this is it, folks. We're just waiting for that final countdown.
500.
And here it comes.
400.
Alright. Seems like we're still on glide slope.
300. 200. 100.
Okay, here we go.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Alright, we made it. We are down safely, and welcome to Geneva, folks. Okay, even though we got off the center line there, our thrust reversers were able to bring us to a nice, steady pace. I did notice that even though I armed the speed brakes, they didn't pop out like they were supposed to, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. But we're down, we're safe. Here's our turnoff. And let me go ahead and get the flaps up. Okay, very nice. Landing lights will put you back to taxi. Strobe and beacon will put you back to beacon. Alright. Looking good, feeling good. And we need to find a parking spot, so let's do that real quick here. So all in all, I gotta give some good marks to Aerofly as far as this Switzerland DLC goes. Please remember this is a payware DLC, so you will have to pay a little bit of money for it. It definitely has some areas that need to be improved, but for what it is, I would say that it's a pretty good stepping stone into Europe. So I can't wait to see some more European sceneries, whether Orbix comes out with them or whether IPACS themselves come out with it. It should be pretty cool. And as I said, as far as the US goes, I'll probably start purchasing some of those Orbix sceneries for airports in America. So like Monterey in particular, Meigs Field, you know, those are two that I really want to get before anything else. And I'm sure they'll have some more good stuff coming. And look, there's a UPS over there. That's cool. Huh. Wasn't aware that they changed their livery. It used to be brown and yellow. Now it's black and yellow. Huh. That's interesting. And this is where IPACS shines, making these 3D models of the airports. That is too cool. Yeah, this is like almost Orbix level quality. And I hate to say it that way because, you know, Orbix is not in the business of making simulators, but for what they do a damn good job, and I will never take that away from them. They make phenomenal airports and sceneries. So I think this is really a match made in heaven, with them and IPACS working together to flesh out AeroFly FS2. So kudos to them. Can't wait to see more, and actually can't wait to see what Orbx is going to bring to the table as far as X-Plane goes. But that'll be another video for another time. For now, we're still trying to find our parking spot, which I think I may have eyes on. Yeah, there's a little circular building there that appears to be flanked on either side by regional jets. Actually, no, that looks more like a Learjet. This might be our stop right here. Yep, this looks like it. Okay, this is where I'm going to park, folks. So prepare to deplane. We'll make our left turn here. Oh, look at that. It's like they knew I was coming. They have a line right here waiting for me to follow. Awesomeness. Alright, so we'll just park here with all the other biz jets, and we will call this episode done. So there we go. That is it. My first video in the can for 2018 with AeroFly FS2. We are here in Geneva, Switzerland, and I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this short hop from Zurich to Geneva. Next time around when we're in Switzerland, we'll take a look at some of the smaller airports, and we'll use some different aircraft to try and fly into these little areas here. But for now, I want to thank you as always for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in AeroFly FS2 in the beautiful Learjet 45. If you enjoy what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and if you feel so inclined, feel free to share this video as well as any of the other ones that I've done. Alrighty folks, that will do it for me, so catch you around really soon. I will talk at you later. Ciao!